Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Paul, and today we're going to talk about my tank crash. Alright, so this all started last year in 2022, mid-year, when I decided to sell both of my two larger tanks, the orange shoulder tank and the Naso tank. And taking these two tanks out actually fluctuated the parameters inside my tank. And I didn't really pay attention to that until about 2 months later when I noticed that the corals didn't look too happy. And upon testing my nitrate and my phosphate, they were actually both all the way down at 0, which explained why my corals didn't look too happy. So what I did was I did a larger water change, and I tried to elevate the parameters by dosing nitrate and feeding more frozen foods and pellet foods. That did bring the levels back up within about 2 to 3 weeks. However, the corals still didn't look happy, and I still had to give it some time. And above all of this, I had a few large colonies that actually didn't make it. They actually all died, and I had to take them out from the tank. It really just sucks to know that it took a very long time to grow these corals, and within a few months, you could lose your colonies just by not paying attention to the parameters in your fish tank. My calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity were all nailed down. I do run the Trident, and that's been monitoring it pretty well. What I should have done was remove the fish and slowly dosed to ensure that all the nutrients level were still at their proper levels. Apparently, I didn't even stop to think about that. At the same time, I stopped feeding heavily, and I dropped it down from 6 feeds a day down to about 1 feed a day. And just by doing that, my nutrients level dropped all the way down to 0, and my corals didn't look too happy, and I lost a few colonies. Now, what I've done since then is I've been doing a lot more water changes, and I've been elevating my nutrients. Now I'm slowly dosing nitrate back in, and I'm also adding a bit more food that has phosphate in them. And then that way I can elevate their levels back up. Now, one of the other things that I noticed in my tank that started to thrive was something that we all dread, which is the vermitid snail. Somehow I got a batch of them. It must have came through a core that I purchased, because now they're actually grown everywhere inside my tank. And it's really hard to live with these things, and you really can't get rid of them. I mean, I've tried all kinds of things, and right now I'm actually just have decided to deploy a puffer. And although the puffer is not considered reef safe, so far he hasn't really touched any of the corals or nibbled at them. He did lick at the green slimer, but he left it at that. And he actually is starting to eat some of the vermitid snails, so that's a plus. The only downfall is that his mouth is only so big, so he could only get to the smaller ones. So for the larger vermitid snails, I would have to crack open the shell, and then he can actually go at him and eat the actual snails. So as of today, the tank is looking a lot better. I mean, it's been a good 6-7 months since this happened, and the tank is bouncing back. All the corals that had died had a little bit back on the base of the colony, so they actually made it, and they're growing and they're coloring back up. Although that's gonna take a very long time for the corals to actually get back to their colony size. Along with that, I decided to add a few fish during this time. I added the puffer and the damsel in there, the little, I believe the stringer damsel, to help with pest control if there's any pest in there. And I'm probably looking to adding some anthias and maybe a firehawk face and maybe some smaller fishes. All right guys, thank you for stopping by. This will be it for this video. I do have more content to come, and I really just want to give you an update on the tank and where it stands today. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you in the next video.